Okay, perfect. So let's start with when and where were you born and did you grow up there?
Okay. And by the way, my full name is Mary Evelyn Tucker. Okay.
Yes, Miss
It was
Evelyn. Yes.
Mary Evelyn. Yeah, it was my grandmother's name. So I
Oh,
used both. I was born in New York City. I grew up there until we moved to a suburb when I was about 5 or 6. But New York City is definitely my birth home and a big home for me.
hmm. Okay. And what do you remember about your childhood, the place you were raised?
Um, and by the way, I was born in 1949. I remember quite a bit because my grandfather taught at Columbia University, and I was born in that area. And my grandmother went to teachers college in that area, and she became a teacher. And my mother went to Barnard, which is the women's part of Columbia. And so we had a very strong connection to the area. And then I went to graduate school and my PhD at Columbia. So it's a very rich and important area uh, for for me.
Hmm. Can you describe your childhood or teenage years?
As okay, so I had a fortunately very wonderful childhood. I had terrific parents, and they were very supportive of me as a woman who wanted to study and learn and travel and so on. So um, I was very lucky that way, and we had lots of fun too. We learned to roller skate in that area and bike ride and all kinds of fun things. And when we moved to the suburbs of Pelham. Uh, my father would play croquet and tennis and badminton with us and push us on the swing. So there was a lot of fun and
Hmm.
uh, play. And there was also a strong sense of Catholicism and prayer and learning about social justice and what mattered for values in a world where there were already a lot of inequities. And so I began at a very young age to be concerned about society and civil rights and the Vietnam War. And I went to college at Trinity because of that, because I
Oh.
wanted to be part of the demonstrations, just like campuses are right now.
Mhm.
And that sense of a political change needing to happen was very old in me and
Mhm.
still is very much present there.
Okay, so you almost somewhat answered the next question which was why did you or what brought you to Trinity and was it your first choice?
That's a great question. My grandmother had gone there, on my father's side, and my aunt had gone there. And I knew it was at that time probably one of the best Catholic women colleges in the country, if not the best. And the connection to Georgetown was nice, but Washington, D.C. was the big draw
Hmm.
because, again, I could be politically involved. I worked in Muskie's office. I worked on the Martin Luther King work down on 14th Street, Jesse Jackson, the Poor People's Campaign, and all of
Hmm.
that. But also the culture. I love the culture of the museums and the theater and so on. So it was a great city because coming from New York, I had both those parts of my life to culture and politics. One kept me going by inspiration, and the other kept me going by aspiration of new political order, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I really loved Trinity, and I had an, one other choice that was a real choice, and that was Mount Holyoke in Women's College in Massachusetts. But I it's in a rural area. It's an excellent school, but I was very glad I chose Trinity because I knew they had a sophomore year in Oxford in England, and that's what I did for my sophomore year. And I still have friends from that group, about 14 of us.
Mhm.
I also was able to go to Japan to teach
Oh,
in the
wow.
college. Yeah. And that changed my life too. So I'm very indebted to Trinity. I love the experience and what it gave me in terms of travel both to Europe and to Japan and Asia.
Wow, that sounds really exciting. Did you learn any Japanese or do you know some?
Oh yes. So when I went to graduate school, I started to study Japanese culture and history. I had done some of it in Japan. I taught there for almost 2 years at
Wow.
the college that Trinity has there, the Notre Dame nuns.
Hmm.
And so I had to learn Japanese. I had to do translation in Japanese, and I've lived in Japan for more than 3 years altogether, I think.
Well, that's really impressive. I think Japanese are one of those languages that are hard to learn.
Very, very hard. Yes.
Wow.
One of the most difficult. Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That sounds very exciting. And are you currently living in DC still?
Oh no, we live in we teach at Yale, my husband and I. So we're up in Connecticut in New Haven.
Okay. Mm,
And so we started a program on world religions and ecology, how the different world religions have something to say about nature and ethics of nature. And we started all that at Harvard in the mid 90s. And then we were asked to bring it here to Yale. So it's been a wonderful adventure and lots of great people working with us over 25 years on this project.
wow, that sounds wonderful. I guess we can go to the next question, which is, were you the first person in your family to attend college? Which,
Uh,
no,
no,
your
no.
parents or your grandparents?
Right. Yes.
Okay, so your parents?
My parents and my grandparents, yes.
Okay, parents and grandparents.
Mhm.
Okay. And how would you describe your experience at Trinity?
So it was great. Lots of wonderful friends, excellent teachers, really dedicated, a lot, mostly women teachers, both nuns and lay people. And I majored in English and history and loved it. And the Oxford year, as I said, was an extension of excellent education and then travel through Europe. So I have had wonderful experiences both there in DC, in Europe, and then in Asia. So I'm very grateful for those.
Yes. Well, at this time, we know that, the social dynamics weren't the same as they are now. So I wanted to ask you, how were race relations at Trinity when you were a student?
Well, as I said, I went there to improve them.
Yes.
And the first class on African American literature was taught during my time there, and I read some of the great writers, Frederick Douglass and James Baldwin, and so on. So it was beginning to change and to
Mhm.
shift. There weren't many classes on minorities. There weren't classes on Asia. One person taught a little bit about India. So DEI was not diversity, equity, inclusion, both in curriculum and in faculty and in student body was very, very minimal. But
Mhm.
I think the social justice dimensions of Catholicism opened up the school, and
Mhm.
that's why it was able to shift after our time to educate young women from the DC area, and I'm thrilled about it, and our classmates are very, very happy about that. So race relations were, um, well, I think you could say they were tense in certain ways, and that's why we had the explosion after Martin Luther King was shot in 68 in April, and the city burst into flames. And I was down there on 14th Street working at the headquarters of this MLK's organization, and I saw the tanks move into Washington, and it was an unbelievable experience. So,
Mhm.
um, and so they were tense. They're still very tense, as we know, and we have a long, long way to go, but we've made progress. We have much more to do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, as you know.
But it has greatly improved over the years. We can see the relations and, the backgrounds of all the students are now at Trinity.
Yeah, good. I'm so glad you feel that way. And tell me, where's your family originally from?
I'm from Central America, from El Salvador.
El Salvador. Okay,
Mhm.
great. You just
Yes.
got back from Puerto Rico for a wedding.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I learned that the first Latinas were Puerto Ricans when they
Yes.
first started coming into Trinity.
Yes, one was in my class actually. Yeah.
Oh. And how many African American students did you see in your class?
Not many at
Many.
all.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not
Yeah.
at all. Okay.
Well, I don't know the exact number, but I'm just saying, as I said, minorities unfortunately were um, very few, and that was
Mhm.
true across the country.
That's true. That's true. I
Yeah.
think schools were just opening for women in general.
Yes,
So,
totally. Hmm.
hmm.
Yeah.
So the next question would be, did you did you have a mentor or role at Trinity? A role model at Trinity?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I really liked a lot of the teachers, as I said, and I liked Sister Mary Hayes, who's an American historian. She's still there and living. Um, I liked Joan Kinnaird, another historian. I liked Josephine Schaefer, who taught the class on African American traditions. And there was another wonderful woman who taught a class on African history and so on. I forget her name. But so I had a number of teachers I really loved and respected, I guess you can say. And also at Oxford, very good teachers.
That's good. I think you might be referring to Sister Mary. She was the first one to give out the African American classes, courses.
Wonderful. It's Sister Mary Hayes. She's,
Yes.
yes, excellent. Yes, she's terrific. She's just
Yeah.
remarkable. Yeah,
Yeah, she's still there. We speak and it
that's great.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's lovely.
yes.
What is the most memorable piece of advice you were given by your mentor or someone at Trinity?
Um, well, the encouragement to go to Oxford, that
Mhm,
was a great program and very unusual in those days because it was for literature and history majors, and most of the programs abroad were for language, to go to France or Italy or Spain or something like that. And
mhm,
so I think the piece of advice, was that they set it up. We were one of the early classes to go, and they Sister Anne Francis was the nun who came with us, and so I don't know if it's like one piece of advice because I had many extraordinary teachers in graduate school too, but I think there's a wisdom about many of the nuns, like Sister Mary Hayes, because they understand social justice, they understand history, and they were able to educate all of us into broader ways of thinking and so on. Um, so, uh, yeah, I don't know. It's not just one. It was many, many things that they taught, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. I think if I would answer the same way. There's so many things that they've done already, and people, always advise you. Um,
Yeah.
what did you do after receiving your undergraduate degree from Trinity?
So first I got a grant from HEW, Health Education and Welfare,
Hmm.
to that was a grant to train community college teachers because I felt, we were very privileged to get an education in those days, women and a good school like that. And I felt we needed more community colleges to give everyone a chance for education. And
Hmm.
so I went up to the State University of New York in Fredonia, where they had a master's program in English and teaching literature community college. I went up in June right after graduation. And the following January, I was teaching at a community college in Buffalo called Erie Community College. And it was just terrific because, a lot of teachers go into teaching, but they don't have any mentors to come back to that word. And so at the college, you were mentored as you did your degree, you were mentored at the community college, and that makes a huge difference. Because some of the students were older than I were, and many of them were veterans who had just come back from the Vietnam War. And here I had protested the war, as unjust, and
Yeah,
many of them were drafted. So it was a very interesting healing process where we became very close in these classes and talked about the literature, but also about our lives, and it
yeah.
was remarkable.
Hmm.
So that was the first thing I did, and then I worked on. Um, the McGovern campaign. I worked on against Nixon, actually, because McGovern was against the war in
Hmm.
Vietnam. And when Nixon lost, I said, I'm leaving the country because there's so much corruption, which we could see even in those days.
Yeah.
I went to teach at their college in Japan, in Okayama, which is called Notre Dame Seishin Joshi Daigaku, which means Notre Dame Women's University.
Oh.
And that opened me up to Asian religions and culture and literature and changed my life. And that's when I became very interested in a different part of the world that had very different values than the West. So I consider that a great gift uh,
Hmm.
of Trinity.
Yeah. And
And
then
then I came back for graduate
yeah.
school.
Okay. Came back graduate school.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to Yale after graduate school?
No, no, no. It's been a long, long career. But the most important thing is after I came back from Japan, I met a wonderful professor whose name is Thomas Berry. He's since passed away, but he taught at Fordham University in a history of religions program, and he was a priest, but a historian, um, and a very, very wise, enlightened person. And my husband and I got married. We were both his students, and he married us. And then we worked with him for 35 years,
Yeah.
editing his books and creating a legacy for him and his ideas. He's quite well known in the area of religion and ecology, eco spirituality, and so on. So he was the main inspiration in our life. Thomas Berry, you can look him up. We have a website for him and so on.
Okay.
And we went to teach at Bucknell University in central Pennsylvania after teaching in the New York area a little bit. I taught at Iona College, and then my husband taught at Sarah Lawrence. And then both of us went to teach at Bucknell.
Hmm.
Then we started the program at Harvard in world religions and ecology, and that changed our life. And then
Hmm.
we went to Berkeley in California to do a film with a friend, Brian Swim, who's a scientist. We made a film that's called Journey of the Universe. You can see it on Amazon. And
Really? Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
Writing
think,
that down.
yeah, you'll enjoy it. I'll send you the link and
Oh,
so
yes,
on.
please.
Yeah, so you can share it with your family or your friends. So, and that actually won an Emmy and has done very well. It was on PBS for 3 years. It
Oh,
was on,
wow. Congratulations. My goodness. Some
well,
quite an accomplishment.
it's you'll see when you see it. It took
Yeah.
us 10 years to make, but it's trying to shift our understanding of where we are as humans and the planet so that
Yeah.
we don't destroy life here and make a new story for future generations. That's one of the ways to put it. But you'll see when you look at the website and the
Okay.
website Journey of the Universe also.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a lot. You've done, for me, that sounds like a lot. You've lived so many lives already. My goodness.
We've lived many, many lives. That's
Yeah.
true.
And that's beautiful. He married you too, you and your
Yeah.
husband. That's so nice.
Yes, we're very, very fortunate. Again, if you look at his website, there's one video on the major page. It's just about 3 minutes, but you'll really get a feeling for how special he was and still is for a lot of,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, making me want to meet him.
Yes, exactly.
And guess, okay, you did mention a lot of accomplishments, but which one are you most proud of? And you can say professional or personal accomplishment, but which one are you most proud of?
Um, I think just the work that John Grimm and I did with Thomas Berry, I'm most I don't know if proud is the right word, but grateful
Mm-hmm.
and because we brought his thought into the world. So I like to think of myself as a midwife and his some of his ideas, he taught world religions, so our work on world religions and ecology was a legacy of his incredible classes, and including Native Americans and Asian religions. And my husband specializes in Native American religions. So I feel that that legacy is very important. And he also had this idea that we need a story that brings us together as planetary people, and that's Journey of the Universe, which has a science but also a spiritual side to it.
Hmm.
And so that kind of legacy, the religion and ecology, but also the journey, I think would probably be the things I would mention.
Hmm. That's true. Can't wait to see it. It makes me want to watch it. Okay.
Yeah, good. I hope you'll enjoy it.
Um, well, go back to Trinity. What does the world need to know about Trinity? And what does the world need to know about Trinity alumni?
Hmm. Um, well, Trinity is a place that calls for excellence. It calls for all of us to do our best. And for women, that's really important.
Right.
It's a place that affirms women in my time and in your time, clearly. And I think one of the best things about Trinity is it was flexible, it was nimble, it was creative to make the transition to say the need of our times is to educate more broadly and
Hmm.
to bring many people into the workforce and creative life force. So I think Trinity's done an amazing job, and many, as you know, many women's colleges closed or
That's
couldn't
true.
make that transition. So I
Hmm.
really want to give a lot of credit to Pat McGuire, who I'm very fond of. And she was in a class just behind us, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, but she has been an extraordinary leader, a very gifted thinker, an excellent speaker and writer and advocate for diversity and multiculturalism and so on. And our work, she's been very supportive of it in every way. So anyway, just want to highlight her and give her a big shout out and thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds, yeah, that's true. That kind of connects to the next question, which you've somewhat already answered, but it's would be good to hear from you again. What is one vital piece of advice you would give to current and future Trinity students?
Um, well, to receive the education with gratitude. It's a struggle to get the education. It's a struggle to pay for it. It's a struggle sometimes to raise a family and do it as well. And
Hmm.
that is what I was doing with the community college students, really respecting all the challenges that they had in their life. So I
Hmm.
think if all of us bring gratitude to the notion that education can change societies, individuals, communities, and that's what Trinity is about. It's not just to get an education to promote oneself or puff oneself up or even make a lot of money. I mean, you're
Hmm.
going into healthcare, and I just so respect that Trinity has this large section for healthcare and
We do.
nursing and so on, because we need it desperately, and we need
Yeah.
people to have compassion as
Hmm.
well as good training. So that's what I would say, no matter what one's doing, with gratitude, a sense of good training, taking pride in that, and also compassion for serving society. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is. That's what it is. And hopefully I'm able to, hold on to those ideals, the ones that Trinity has, has taught me in while I go into the workforce and in my life. So
Absolutely. And your parents must be very proud of you, right?
yes, I'll be the first one to graduate.
Fantastic. And are they in El Salvador or here in the
They're
States?
here. They're here.
Great.
Yeah. And
So that'll be
my sisters are also attending Trinity, and they're gonna graduate soon too.
fantastic. They must be so happy and proud of you all.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be thrilled to come to graduation, right?
You will. They will be there May 18th.
May 18th. Fantastic. Oh, very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It was my apologies if I maybe, asked the questions too rushed or
No,
fast.
no,
I was
no,
trying
no.
to minimize it to 30 minutes.
You're so good. Wow, you did it so perfectly. I'm very, very impressed.
Thank you
And
so much.
I'll send you a few links.
Yeah,
There's a Wikipedia site on my work and our work and things like that. Then we have websites. So I don't know if you include after you do your write up, you might want to just, put resources or,
yeah,
things like that. So I'll give you a little, well, I'll send you two flyers.
yeah.
One is on the Forum on Religion and Ecology, and one is on Journey of the Universe. And we also have classes online, Coursera classes.
Oh, okay. You're in a
Yeah,
course too. Okay.
yeah. So we even have one on Thomas Berry, which you might
Oh,
enjoy.
really? Okay.
And it's only like 6 weeks, and you can spread it out, as long as you want. I know you're going to be very busy, but I think you might enjoy getting
Yeah,
to know
no,
him a little
I
bit.
really want to look into it. And yes, please send me the links because I would want to mention this because I'm gonna present about you.
Oh,
And yeah, and I want to be able to say all your accomplishments, all the things you've done, and things that we can look into too.
oh, that's great. And you do this for a class, or where do you do?
Yes, this is for our oral history class.
Fantastic.
Mm.
So this is at the very end of the semester that you're going to do it like in a couple week or so, or a week.
Oh, I'll do it next week. And
Okay,
but
perfect.
yeah, I need to. I'm not sure if the professor sent you a almost like a permission slip, but if you haven't received it, I'll send it to you latest tomorrow and you can take a look at it. So if consenting that I am able to talk about you and have
Sure.
your record.
Absolutely. I think I signed another student earlier on had tried to contact me, but I think that the dates didn't work out or something. But so I might have signed it earlier. I'm not sure.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm happy to do it, the only, yeah, I'll get my assistant to do it because we can't scan here at home, but
Oh,
we'll take care of it.
that's okay. That's fine. And I'm wondering if the recording, once I'm done recording, is going to save it in my laptop or is it going to send it to you? But just in case it's sent to you, have your assistant send it over to me so I have it. Yeah.
Okay. She doesn't live here. I have one in
Oh,
Vermont
okay.
and one in California, but we'll work it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But no, this is great. You did a super job. You moved right through the
Okay.
questions, and I wish we had even more time to get to know you and your work and your life. But I wish you well for
Thank you
May
so much.
18th graduation. So exciting.
Yay.
Yes, it'd be great. And tell your parents I'm proud of you too.
Oh, thank you so much. It was
Yeah.
a pleasure. It was a pleasure, even though it took us a while to finally meet. It was a pleasure meeting with you and having, this time to ask you the questions. And I think it's beautiful. You're the second student already alumni that I have interviewed. And so far, you guys have done amazing work throughout your whole life. You just done so many things, and I only wish to be like that
You
as I
will be. You already are. You're on your way.
I am on my way.
You're
Yes.
launched. Well, here's a big hug for you through the
Thank you.
through the Zoom.
Through the Zoom.